What's going on, my brothers and sisters? I'm the Super Kid Critic, and welcome to Top 10 Gaming. Today, we've been looking at 10 game sequels that created fans of a series, and caused them to go backwards in their franchise. A lot of the entries on this list I have personal experience with, so this should be fun. Before we get started, please remember to like and subscribe to get notified on my next video, and then ring the notification bell so that actually happens. The Resident Evil game series has always been popular, but RE4 remolded the series into something that more casual gamers could get into. With the new camera system, innovative controls, and the use of the new game mechanic, at the time, being QuickTime events. But I assume that the 4 in the title threw some people off, especially with the intro to the game recapping the previous games.
I'll never forget it. It was the year when those grisly murders occurred in the Arkham Mountains. Soon after, the news was out to the whole world, revealing that it was the fault of a secret viral experiment conducted by the international pharmaceutical enterprise, Umbrella.
The main consoles that RE4 was available on launch was also able to play the previous 3 games, be it backwards compatibility or remakes. So new fans had easy access to these games. Some players might be put a bit off by the old games, stiff tank controls, harder puzzles, and whatnot, but the players that stick around will have an unforgettable experience. Lately, the Doom series has become somewhat of a household name, with the recent release of Doom Eternal, the 6th game in the series. But not too long ago, people thought that the Doom series has died. From 1993 to 2004, the Doom franchise was extremely popular, with the game coming out every couple of years. But after that point, the series had a 12-year hiatus, with the exception of re-releases. People were worried that the Doom series would become a relic of the past, until at E3 2014, where Doom 4 was revealed. A somewhat revival of the series after Doom 3 departed from Doom's roots of mindless running gun action for a more horror approach. Doom 4 was exactly what new fans of the series wanted, but also attracted a new audience due to the exaggerated violence and the popularity of first-person shooters at the time. Like the previous entry, the previous Doom games were available on all the consoles that could play the 4th game, once again giving easy access to the previous games. Although the visuals of the first 2 games might be jarring to some players, the gameplay holds up within all of the games in the series. Of course, Call of Duty was gonna be on the list at some point, but Call of Duty Modern Warfare practically made this series what it is now. Before this entry, the series was popular to some degree, but the release of Call of Duty 4, the series' popularity went up by almost 50%, with Call of Duty 4 selling 15.7 million copies, and Call of Duty 3 only selling 7.4 million copies, both by November of 2013. Most people just went with the series from there, but some people, mainly on Microsoft consoles, were able to go back and play the other games. Recently, the series has gone down into a hole of consistent mediocrity, so if you're looking to get into the series, I would recommend some of these older games. God of War 4 placed itself as a soft reboot of the series, but old fans of the series see that it is a sequel to the previous 6 games, including side games such as the two Origins games. Like most games of this type, it's still a reinvention of the God of War franchise, with completely different controls, environment, and even Pantheon. Minor spoiler warning for the God of War series ahead. Okay, so nearing the end of the God of War 4 game, Kratos, in order to save his son, had to re-obtain his trademark Blades of Chaos. This may have confused some players, not knowing where the weapons came from. On top of this, right after, Athena from the previous game shows up, saying,
Spartan, put as much distance between you and the truth as you want. It changes nothing. Pretend to be everything you are not. Teacher, husband, father. But there is one unavoidable truth you will never escape. You cannot change. You will always be a monster.
I know. But I am your monster no longer.
At this point, new fans are thinking to themselves, who is this woman? And why does she talk about Kratos like she knew him for a while? Invested fans to do more research and discover the treasure trove of the previous God of War games. Unfortunately, there would be no easy way to play them on PS4, but it isn't impossible. With a PlayStation Now subscription, you could stream them on PC or PS4. If you want a better experience with them, you could get the PS3 and play them via collections. With Red Dead Redemption 2 being a prequel, it makes it really easy to go back to the previous game. Or would it be the next game? You know what I mean. Red Dead Redemption 1 is an amazing journey and puts a different perspective on the story of the second game. After playing Red Dead Redemption 2, some players went back to play the first in order to continue the amazing story that Rockstar games are famous for at this point. If you want to play this game on PS4, you can play the game via PlayStation Now, and Xbox players can download the game and play it directly. Unfortunately for PC players, the original Red Dead Redemption is unavailable on PC, but if you really feel the need to play it, a used PS3 and the game are extremely easy to come by. Now, I'm not even gonna pretend that I know anything about Kingdom Hearts.
Kyrie's inside me?
But what I do understand is how popular it was, mainly with people that played the infinite amount of prior games. Just, side note, if your third entry in the series doesn't fall right after the second, don't give it 3. Just give it another random subtitle like Kingdom Hearts Death by Time or something, I don't know. Hearing how popular it was, me and many others tried out the game, whether it be the demo or full game. I personally only made it about an hour before my brain shut itself off because of how lost I was. Nothing against the game, but it was made for die-hard fans of the series, fans that played all 12 or so of the games before this and have a full memory of them. Otherwise, the story will leave them behind. That's why many people went back and played the other games in its convoluted, confusing chronological order. Luckily, on most modern consoles and PC now, the other games are easily accessible via this collection or digital remasters, although they are quite pricey, so if you really want to play this game and have the full experience, go ahead, nothing's stopping you. This is a weird entry, because it's technically a reboot, but also a movie game, but also a remake of the first game on PS2. Regardless, on the list, I'm gonna keep going. The Ratchet & Clank remake was a great game, with great platforming, a great variety of weapons, and a great upgrade and progression system. But whenever someone makes a review on it, I never hear one that doesn't say that the original was better in some way. This caused some people to check out the original trilogy, especially because, unfortunately, the best Ratchet & Clank game isn't getting a remake. After the Ratchet & Clank Future duology, the series went downhill. So if you want to play these old Ratchet & Clank games, I would recommend stopping after A Crack in Time. Batman Arkham Knight was set up to be the big, next-gen, greatest Batman game of all time. It wasn't that, but regardless, it somehow became the fastest-selling Arkham game, selling 5 million copies months after the game came out. For many people, this was their entry into the Arkham series. Of course, this game, in its name, is nothing about being a sequel, so for a lot of people, like myself, it was just a cool Batman game. But of course, it was the latest game in the quadrilogy. Yes, Arkham Origins exists, and yes, it's my favorite Arkham game. Don't at me. Anyway, this fact is extremely evident in the story of the game. Luckily for us, confused people, a year after the Arkham Knight came out, the first two games were remastered in the Return to Arkham collection, making it really easy to go back in the series, as many of us did. Unfortunately, Arkham Origins didn't get the same treatment, but it's easily accessible for the Xbox One and PC via digital download, and backwards compatibility. And for PS4, PlayStation Now is always available. Infamous Second Son is yet another sequel that severely detaches itself from the previous games. This time, it completely changes the feel of the map and switches the main character and powers. I think that this makes old fans feel satisfied with the game and easily bring new fans in without them being lost in the story. Unlike other games, the only thing that even implies that this is a sequel is the name Second Son, leading some to believe that this is the second game. Although, it isn't necessary to play the previous games to fully enjoy this game, but they are cool games in their own right. Second Son did much better than the previous games, allowing Sucker Punch to move on to their newest franchise, being 2020's Ghost of Tsushima. The only way to play these older games is to either buy a PS3 in the game, which is the best way to play these games, or to once again use PlayStation's jank streaming service. Now, this is not technically a sequel, but it's not a reboot either, because the series just debooted back afterward. I don't know, it's on the list. Before this game came out, reception was either extremely positive or extremely negative, and we all know how popular controversy can get on the internet. This game sold 5 million copies to this day, which is okay for a AAA game. All this game really told people is that the other games are better, and they are. So, unlike all of the previous entries, this game didn't introduce people to the series because they played it, it was because they were told not to play it, and to play the old games. Luckily for people that want to play these games, they are accessible easily on modern consoles and PC. That's all folks. If you enjoyed this video, remember to put a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want me to continue making gaming videos, say so in the comment section down below. Have a nice day.